Most high earners I know can tell you exactly what their portfolio returned last quarter, but they can't tell you where their will is or whether they even have one. And honestly, that gap right there is where generational wealth quietly goes to die. We're talking about 5 documents, just 5, that separate the people who are truly wealthy from the people who are just making a lot of money. A will, a financial power of attorney, a medical power of attorney, a living will, and any applicable trusts. That's your estate planning starter pack. And without it, you're essentially building a skyscraper with no foundation. Here's what makes this wild. The same person who obsesses over tax optimization and real estate cap rates has somehow never gotten around to a document that takes maybe 2 hours to execute. It's not a knowledge problem, it's a "I'll get to it" problem. And "I'll get to it" is the most expensive phrase in personal finance. Let's start with the will, because this is the one everyone's heard of and still doesn't have. Without it, the state gets to decide what happens to everything you've spent your entire life building, and I promise you, the state's plan and your plan are not the same plan. Then there's financial power of attorney, which is the document that lets someone you trust make financial decisions on your behalf if you're incapacitated. Think about what happens to your business, your accounts, your investments, if you're in a hospital bed, and no one legally has the authority to act. Everything just sits there, freezing, while the world keeps moving. Medical power of attorney is the one that tends to get emotional fast, and rightfully so. This is the document that designates who makes your healthcare decisions when you can't make them yourself. And without it, you're handing that burden to a courtroom instead of a loved one. The living will, sometimes called an advance directive, is where you actually write down what kind of medical interventions you do or don't want at end of life. Doctors and hospitals are legally obligated to keep you alive by every means available unless you tell them otherwise in writing. And that's a conversation worth having on your terms, not in a crisis. Now, trusts get a little more layered, but here's the simple version. A trust lets your assets transfer without going through probate, which means faster access, more privacy, and far fewer legal fees for the people you leave behind. For high earners especially, skipping this is like flying first class your whole life and then buying your family a middle seat for the most important trip they'll ever take. Here's the part that stings a little. If you're not modeling this behavior, your adult kids almost certainly aren't either. Children learn financial discipline, or the lack of it, by watching what the people around them actually do, not by hearing what they say they'll eventually get around to doing. There's a reason the wealthiest families in the world treat estate planning as a living, updated, revisited process, not a one-time errand. It's because they understand that wealth without structure is just a timer counting down to conflict, confusion, and court. The misconception most people carry is that estate planning is for old people or for the ultra-rich, and that is precisely backwards. The best time to build this infrastructure is when everything is fine, when you're healthy, when your relationships are stable, and when you have the clarity to think it through without emotion clouding the room. And let's be real for a second about the practical side. Getting these documents in place is not as expensive or complicated as most people assume. A solid estate attorney can get you through the basics in a matter of weeks, and the cost is laughably small compared to what a disorganized estate costs in legal fees, delays, and family stress down the line. The discipline here isn't about being morbid, it's about being serious. The same way you wouldn't run a business without contracts or invest without a strategy, you shouldn't build wealth without a plan for what happens to it when life gets complicated, because life always gets complicated. So the move is simple, even if it's not always easy. Make the appointment, get the documents drafted, revisit them every few years or after any major life event, and make sure the people who need to know actually know where everything is. That's not a heavy lift, that's just responsible ownership of the life you've built. And if you're ready to take the next step, whether that's real estate investing, home contracting, work, or finding the right lenders to help you build and protect your wealth, check out our links in the description below, and let's get you started.